M3GAN 2.0 could be the hardest movie to review in terms of a sequel. Now, with this, the reason that really sticks out to me is when you look at the first one that is based on a horror style movie, that horror feel that you get is not necessarily present within this movie. The directors really took M3GAN and turned it into a action film. And going into this, I already kind of had an idea to look out to similarities with Terminator 2. But what I think makes this movie a lot different than the original is there is a aspect of the film that tries to implement comedy. And I think as that comedy is trying to be put into this film, it almost feels forced in a certain aspect. And from my perspective, it wasn't always a success. Now, the plot is not very hard to follow. M3GAN returns after an AI software from the military begins to use her own powers to seek what M3GAN once saw. And M3GAN is trying to convince people that she is there to help. She will do the right things. The wrong things are gone. And that is kind of where this movie is set. Now, this movie did have its ups, but I feel like there are more downs. And I think with an opening with what I've read is projected to be about $10 to $11 million less than the first M3GAN. But that also includes opening on the same weekend that F1 opens. But we're not going to talk about other movies. Let's get right into the pros. Number one, I think the biggest pro of this movie is the overall action and the scenery that you see within the movie. I think taking it from a horror movie to an action film is definitely a risk. And I think in some instances it paid off. I feel as if trying to implement things from, let's say, Terminator 2, they did a good job. And I think with that, it allows you to see what M3GAN is capable of. Like, that's some of the things that you may not have seen in the first movie. But I think this also allows you to see more of kind of who M3GAN is as a person. Number two, I think one of the things that allows this movie to just go is the overall direction of the storyline. I think when you have M3GAN return from what she was to be a helpful hand to defeat somebody that uses her own program, I think it makes sense. I think when you are giving the ability to see, like I said, who M3GAN was and kind of who she's become, but ultimately used in a productive manner, and that's really the whole flow of the story, it makes sense. Now, let's talk about the con, and I think for me, this is where this whole thing kind of collapses. I just find it very hard to take a movie that is very enjoyable in the original and try to change the complete dynamic and create this action, comedy, thriller type movie. I think that is a risk that ultimately kind of flutters, and audiences are not going to be very happy. I know for me, even though I still found the movie to be enjoyable, I found certain aspects of it just hard to watch. The dialogue was a little hard to follow at times. I feel like it is very bland. I also feel like the comedy that is within it is just forced. It's almost as if it is forcing you along just to make sure that you understand, oh, M3GAN can be funny, or, oh, you should think about it from this perspective. And I think when you have the action that is done very well, and really you are enjoying what you are seeing from that aspect, and then trying to force certain things within the movie, that kind of leads it to flutter a little bit. Now for an overall rating. For me, M3GAN 2.0 is a 2.7 out of 5. I feel like this is a movie where if you saw the original, you should see the second one just to kind of see where the story goes. But if this is something that you have not watched before and this is your first introduction, I think you're going to question whether you should see this. I also feel like if you haven't seen the first one, you need to watch it to see what M3GAN is about, who she is, what the whole backstory is, ultimately leading to what you see in M3GAN 2.0. But for me, it is a 2.7 out of 5. This is one of those movies that I wouldn't go see again and I wouldn't buy. But when it hits streaming, it would be one of those where down the line I could see myself watching it again just to see if my feelings change. But M3GAN 2.0 is a 2.7 out of 5. It's okay. It's one of those, like I said, if you've seen the original, you should see this one just to compare. But it is out now. Thank you all for the continued support and watching. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, and I will talk to you all later.